All right. Hey, everybody. Welcome to Tattva Tuesday. This is Lindsay Warwick, also known as The Conduit on YouTube and The Conduit on Spotify with the Tattva Tuesday Spiritual Interview Series. Today we have Daniel Cannuli. So we have so many titles for Daniel. He is a jack of all trades, master of none, also a sound healer, breathwork facilitator, and he's also my best friend's boyfriend / beloved. And I thought it would be perfect to have Daniel on for, it is Valentine's Day as we are recording this. So I thought it was perfect to finally introduce a man on the podcast. So thank you so much, Daniel, for being with me right now and sharing this experience. I'm very excited.
Thank you for having me. Yes, this is an awesome opportunity, and I'm honored to be here.
Great. So I'm like, where should we start? Let's start with, last week we had Elaine on and we talked about the divine masculine and the divine feminine. And I know that you're in a very sacred relationship. So I didn't know if you wanted to talk a little bit about that and just shed some light for the listeners and the viewers on embodying the divine masculine in a sacred relationship.
Sure. So I had no idea what that was when I had sort of met Vanity, but maybe intuitively I've kind of always knew what that was because I was raised by my mother and father, and my mother, they were just very loving to me. So I've always had, like, they were Christian, they just had certain values. So, and I was the youngest of three boys. I was spoiled. So it was sort of, I just had a certain upbringing that was always, it just made me like know love and know what it was like to love other people. So when I met Vanity, I didn't realize that, like, my mom kind of like treated me as a girl because she had two boys, and so I had the a divine feminine voice and idol in my life, not idol, but like example, somebody who kind of exemplified it, to give my mother credit. So seeing that and seeing my father do that, and also have the soft hand as well. So I think he embodied both of them. So I watched it, so I knew it, and I didn't really like put it into words until I met Vanity, when she like helped me like kind of just understand what like how why are you like so soft. And like I cried as a child on the playground often when the kid used to fall down and scrape his knee, or when I was a wrestler and I would never want to hurt or injure another kid. I was very emotional and in tap with other people's emotions, like no matter what. And like certain films and music always would make me feel emotion very strongly. I was that kid who would cry in class, whatever you may call it, for better or worse. But I think it's made me a very a well-rounded individual at this day, because it's also brought me, like I said, the wrestling martial arts as requires to be masculine. So I've been very strong and very physical and very nurturing when required. So Vanity has just helped me put it into balance and perspective, into view in my life. I'm just very appreciative to her and for the journey that I'm on and that she's on. And it's just, it never ends. I feel like each day the task begins anew, and it's just kind of a journey. I make mistakes and sometimes lose my temper still to this day and say things, but it's this balance, and it's the yin and the yang. And I'm just honored and blessed to have a partner who's intelligent enough, and I think healed enough, to see when I'm making my mistakes, and I'm doing something to hold the space, as I try and attempt to always do for her. And we communicate like this is how we need to be loved, and like our love language. And just, it's very refreshing after being in relationships in our past that we feel that weren't the best and stuff. So it's like I say, a journey. And just I'm so grateful and thankful to Vanity. She's my beloved, and thankful for your union as well. And I was upset there was a period where you guys had you're like up and down as well. It's just interesting. It's just probably made you stronger, I think, as soul sisters to this day, having experienced like the good, the bad, and just to be able to compare everything. So that's sort of my tangent spiel just about my love of Vanity, who I love and miss dearly.
I love it. I love it. All good with the tangents here. We can go off on tangents whenever, just letting everything kind of flow. But yeah, you did touch on that. Yeah, we did have a little bit of a falling out for a couple of months. I'm so bad with time. Her and I are really bad with time, linear time.
Right.
But yeah, it definitely, I think that was part of my sister wound, just having expectations and those sorts of things. But then, we did come together and our friendship is so much stronger now. And, we did the shamanic rose priestess mentorship this last summer, and she came and stayed with me. And, she's just been such a solid, friend in my life. And it's just such a blessing to have her in my life as well as you. You guys are definitely an inspiration as far as healthy relationships go. So I think that's really beautiful what you said about, open communication and love language, which I kind of want to talk about that a little bit. So what would you say is like your love language? And I wonder what vanities is. Like, I'm sure I could guess it, but I'm wondering what your love language is.
Oh, it's interesting. So I think some of it is like, I have like weird, not standards, but like, I don't like to break this astrologically, but it's like, I guess it's sort of related to like the first couple of my, like it fits the mold. Like I kind of like, I'm like sort of a hermit in a sense, where I like my little time to like just be by myself. So I like when like it's just like I'm like sensitive to light and sound sometimes, even weirdly. Like I like when I'd like to turn the lights down and like just like watch a video and not like speak, honestly, just be silent and be to myself. So it's my language is like when to know when to let me do my thing and when to like to communicate and stuff, and to just get stuff done for the house and household errands and things like that nature.
Mm-hmm. Well, that's great. And I think it's good that you guys have that level of open communication, which you said has been different than other relationships. So like, what would you say kind of made you realize that, your relationship with Vanity was unlike other relationships? What made you kind of realize that this was like your person?
It was like a feeling, like it was like this. It was hard because like it was just synchronicity after synchronicity. So it was like not like one thing I could point to. It was just like an abundance of things, and like it just happened all so naturally. And I had like fear equated to it in the beginning, and like it was just I just had stuff to deal with a little bit as far as relationships, but it was easy with Vanity. And like, cause I just was like, all right, like this is what I'm feeling. Every time something would pop up, I would just sit down and like talk to her with like at a table, like with like our hearts, like just like work it out, just like speak openly to like work on the thing, like the wounds and traumas. And like, it's like I said, each day the task begins anew, but it's the willingness and like the heart and the love that comes from like, it's just that space of like being able to like make these mistakes and like not be afraid that like somebody's going to misjudge you, or you're going to like be like it's just weird. It's really hard to just put one single thing, but I guess it's just that general like yeah, like it's okay to like be wrong. Like it's just growth. It's just honestly it's growth, because Vanity's not the same Vanity when I met her, and like I'm not the same Daniel. It's just like we get to be like multiple like partners and like at the same time with this one individual. It's just yeah, so it's just that space. It's that space that we hold for each other.
I think that's really beautiful. And I just listened to this recording, maybe a couple weeks ago now, this spiritual teacher named Matt Kahn. Do you know Matt Kahn?
The name sounds familiar, but I
Yeah,
can't put anything to it. Yeah.
just a really high vibe being who does a lot of channeling and all that. And he talked about soul contracts and relationships. And essentially, like, we have these sacred soul contracts, and, as long as there's respect and, nothing kind of filters into the land of abuse, like you can continue to like, revamp and redo your relationships. And yeah, like you said, like I know like Vanity, is not the same Vanity as, and you're not the same Daniel, and I'm not the same Lindsay as, I was
Absolutely.
in November, or
Precisely.
even literally like last week. I'm not the same Lindsay. Like we're constantly shifting and evolving. And I think that as long as you can hold a space of mutual love and respect towards each other and have that honest, open communication, then, I feel like a relationship will continue to succeed. I mean, that's just me saying that. I'm not in
Oh,
one right
thank you.
now.
Thank
You know
yes,
what I
thank
mean?
you.
Yeah.
Well, you've been in relationships and you have the compare, like, and like, this is from like the optics of what we're saying here. So thank you, Lindsay. Absolutely.
Yeah. So I don't know. I just like love you guys, and I definitely want to talk more about your own personal healing journey. So let's talk about that, because I know that's like the whole point of Tattva Tuesday is, the guests talk about how they discovered God's source spirit. So just would love to hear about your personal journey. I know music is a big part of who you are. So just I know I remember seeing you play in your band with Vanity like a couple of years ago.
Yeah.
And that was at a bar, and that was so much fun. But you've like evolved so much since then. So I know that was a lot of questions in one question, but that's just how we're rolling tonight. So
I got you.
yeah.
Spiritually, I was raised Christian, and I had like I was baptized in a church. It was a Princeton Alliance church. I did like youth group, did a little bit of Boy Scouts with the church. I was very like, and we had like care circles and like a community. So I saw the benefits and like all the positivity and the love and the gift giving and the abundance that comes from just that sort of that angle of stuff, and music as well, because I eventually found myself playing guitar in a worship the band, like playing rock guitar to an extent with a little bit of distortion and some delay and some reverbs and making some ebo and some cool effects. So it's a really cool side to it. I wound up look, I'll just be honest, just be real. I wound up losing my father and sort of just kind of stepped away from that church community, just sort of that's the way things played out. Just is what it is, and it's part of the journey. I went through a bereavement counseling, and I had a long time just to heal from that. To this day, so I'm sure I'm still like it's like a I describe it as like a cannonball chest is blown into your stomach, and it heals up slowly like a Wolverine wound, and then it blows up like smaller and smaller. Like each it like happens again and again, but each time it blows up, the hole is a little bit smaller and smaller and smaller, but it'll never go away, and it's always like this like. And
Mhm.
sometimes it goes even like to like the start again if it's like a big anniversary, like a 10-year or something. So that's part of as far as my spiritual journey. I sort of turned my back on the religion aspect, the Christian aspect, and find myself a little bit lost for a little while there and not realizing what I was like, how could that happen? How could God take such a soul that was so giving and beautiful as my father? But just is what it is. It's part of the journey. Um, but I'm here today. I'm here today to tell you like what I've become, what I'm able to process, and what I was able to do. Um, yeah, I went through a lot of healing. Some of it was with a shaman in Massachusetts with three trees and Greta, where they put me on their table and they did a thing over top of me, and like it was very powerful and it was very profane. And I cried and I laughed, and I just found this ability to like tap into this like let go. It's not yours, Daniel. Why are you holding this? And like to this day, even just a couple seconds ago, it'll come out and like I can like tap into the emotion. I can feel that same pain, but it's a strength. It's honestly like a like I said, like a conduit that I can have for other clients for healing, just for the ability to be empathetic. So I got trees and Greta. They did that to me, and I was like, I want to do that for other people. What they just did for me is like something inside me deep down was like, you can do this, and you should be doing this, and you're not. And I was like, oh shit. And like even like that makes me tearful because it's that profound. That's when you know you found something like think because I'm trying not to cry. I don't want to cry. I don't want to do
It's
that. That's the
okay.
man. That's the like you should be crying, but it's okay because I'm going to grow from this conversation. I'm going to be help myself and maybe help somebody else, and that's what we're here. That's what I'm here to do. So they helped me. I watched that. I was like, that's so cool. And like it also brings it to the music because I watched Tree plays the handpan and play the flute, and I'm like, I can do that. And like I've done that in other lifetimes. I'm like, my dad was a drummer. Even like rhythm is inside me. It's in my cellular DNA. It's in my history, and I have to use it. And I have to do it and start doing it. And I just have been ever since that first retreat recording nonstop and like making music and rhythms and just flutes and didgeridoos and everything I can get my hands on. I'm like, I can do that because once you view the way broadly, you can do it in all things. If you can get good at calligraphy, if you can get good at booger sculpture, anything, I don't care. You can get good at like any art if you see the way. It's just mental. Like it's like this thing where it's like 80% mental and 20% skill. It's in a rap song. They say it. It's like they're giving you the keys, and it's up to you to lock yourself out of the door or to walk through. And we're here, you, I, to be a conduit for other people and ourselves to show the vehicle for human potential and show what we're capable to really do here. So thank you, Lindsay. And yeah, that's my spiritual musical journey into a little spiel there, and a little emotion too. Yeah.
Yeah, it was so beautiful. And I just love how you openly express yourself. And, I'm here to support you in that space. And it's a powerful story. I'm so sorry about the loss of your father. I think the way that you explain that, and it's okay to have emotion behind it still. I don't think that there's a timestamp on grief. I think it's really beautiful that you've sought out, your bereavement counseling and then other modalities, shamanism, music, hertz frequency. I know you also do the sauna ice bath routines, and I
Oh
see you
yeah.
doing your cold therapy, and I definitely want to talk to you about that. But I appreciate your openness, and I just think it's like God or source, gives us these really challenging scenarios and situations, and that's the time where you even said, and I just got chills, that I turned my back on my spiritual community for a time, and then you go back and you go towards the light to find your healing, and then it's like this, it starts to open up your heart. And then like now you're starting to share your gifts and also become a facilitator and a conduit, a channel for other people's healing. And it's like, it's such a beautiful, like full circle type of thing. You know what I mean? And I just thought it was really, yeah.
It's the hero's journey. It's in like mythology.
Yes.
It's totally like, it's part of the thing. Yeah.
Yes. The hero's journey is, yes. It's like, I don't know. It's just like it's like the way. I don't know why that just came through, but like the thought of the Mandalorian, but it's like, this is the way, but like it is the way.
This is the way.
Yeah, like going through your pain and finding the light on the other
and
side.
becoming friends with it, incorporating it. There's so many words for it these days. People call it like the shadow, all that stuff, but it really truly is like, if the more you fight it, the bigger it just becomes, and it becomes like chaotic in the life. And that's like the dark night of the soul. And I think it's unconscious creating and manifesting, because you're not dealing with this aspect of yourself that's this shadow or whatever it is. But as soon as you like become friends with it, you can focus your channel and you can get what you want, and it becomes it's more conscious creating, more that's yeah. That's what my understanding has become, because when I don't know, I say I don't understand that. But when I become aware of it, I change my words and I say I become understanding of things. So, yeah.
I think that's really beautiful, and also it's a very elevated way to like use language, and just I think you are an inspiration for other men to pursue healing and pursue these open conversations and openness and accepting their emotions. And I think it's like, I'm so grateful that, it's you right now and we're talking, and it's like, the night of Valentine's Day. And
It's just divine. Yeah.
It is so divine. Like it really is. Like, I'm just so grateful. I want to tell you a story actually, because I know you'll love it. And I think I told Vanity it. I think I texted it to her because it was just so magical. So I think the divine masculine has been like kind of holding me lately in a beautiful way, because I know we're not going to get into detail about my personal life, but my last relationship was pretty toxic and abusive, and I've had a hard time processing things, but I've been keeping my heart open as much as I can, you know what I mean? And so Friday night, you are gonna love this. A Friday night, I treated myself to a private sound healing by a local facilitator. She is amazing. It was so beautiful. I saw all these images of Mary Magdalene and like the chalice, like the Holy Grail, like all things. And I realized like,
Wow.
I am that, the divine feminine. So then naturally I was hungry after, and I wanted sushi. So I went to my favorite sushi spot and I sat at the bar, ordered, my drink and my rolls. And there was this man who sat next to me, and he just started talking to me, very friendly. Like I could feel his energy was really good. And he said he was visiting from out of town and that he had recently lost his wife. And so we chatted about that. And then he shared it with me that it was his birthday, and like we just had a nice time talking together. And at the end, he literally picked up my tab. Like I didn't know this guy before. And I cried at the bar to him. Like, I mean, I was not drunk, but I cried, and I was like, listen, sir, like, you don't understand how much that means to me. And he wasn't like, ooh, baby, I'm going to buy you dinner. Like, it wasn't like that at all. It was so sincere and genuine. And it was just so beautiful. Like, I just was like, thank you, universe. Like, thank you for showing me, like, gentleman, the divine masculine. So I thought you would love that story. And I thought, God, that is such a perfect experience to happen. Like, I knew you were going to be on the podcast, like, you know, coming up in the next couple of days. And it's just been really great. I've been having some really just divine experiences, and I'm just very grateful to the divine masculine. So I'm just beautiful. Wanted to share that. Yeah.
Oh, is it like when you're in your divine feminine and then a divine masculine appears? Is like, can you elaborate on that? Is there something to like, does it feel better or something? Is it just a balance to the universe? Like, could you elaborate?
Yeah, I guess I can. I mean, I just felt, you know, I have, you know, since my last relationship ended, I feel like I've done a lot of work on myself, and there's been a lot from the inside, you know what I mean? It's all, to me, well, you're gonna understand this because you're a musician first, right? And a healer. Everything is frequency, you know. Everything is right, everything is frequency. So like, I have been working on shifting my inner frequency, so healing that inner frequency. Like before, I guess I was attracting, you know, I did attract a man who did not appreciate me and abused me. And now it's
so amazing. Like, wow.
Shifting, I know, it's crazy. And then shifting your inner frequency so that those energies can't even come into like my vortex or come
it's like
into
magnets, Lindsay, totally.
It's, yeah. So, you know, yeah, exactly. So I feel like it's a matter of holding self-respect and high level of self-love for myself. And then it's like, I talked about this with Sunny Pakinen. She was like second on the podcast. We talked deeply about somatic frequency work, and I've done a lot of sessions with her, but it's like, sometimes it's like, how many times have you driven down a street in Hamilton, Jersey, and maybe you didn't notice a house or you didn't notice a restaurant, and then all of a sudden you notice it. She explained it as, then it's coming, your frequency is like coming online to that, or if that makes sense. I feel
like a radio station, and it totally makes resonance.
Yeah,
I
it's
totally
just
get
like
what you're saying.
the radio station. So it's like, it's also now everything, we're sovereign beings. We're sovereign beings, and everything is also a choice. And it's just been a lot of work. And yeah, I'm trying to hold my own space as the divine feminine, and what I will accept and what I won't accept. And now some of it is not even coming into my field.
That's incredible. Wow, thank you. That helps me.
Did I even explain it?
You did, like, because that's what I asked you, like, telepathically in a sense. Like, so yeah, that's perfect. Like, that's exactly what I was like going for. That's what I was going for. I mean.
Okay, great. Awesome. Yeah. So, I mean, yeah, I think everything is a choice. And for me, you know, the big lesson was, you know, I did get the messages from my higher self, and then I wasn't listening to them, you know, and now it's like, I'm going to listen to them, even if it's an initial discomfort, you know,
that's so important. Yes.
I'm like, well, so you know, like I could like, you know, be with somebody or, you know, be on dates and stuff, but it's like, I am just listening to my inner being. And if it doesn't feel like an alignment, full alignment, then I'm just saying no to those things. And
like if it's a maybe, it's a no even. Yeah.
It's exactly. And that's kind of like the law of attraction teachings. It's like, if it's not like a absolutely, then it's like a you know. And so I'm just done living that way. I'm more living in alignment with my inner being. And when it's a yes, I go for it. If I get an intuitive message that feels good, then I go with it. And then if it's not, it's not. And then also my view of sexuality and that whole thing has shifted. It's completely sacred. it's a sacred energy exchange. And Elaine and I kind of talked about this a little bit, but like, I don't believe in casual relationships like that anymore. That's just not who I am anymore. So yeah.
I even bring it to like, I'm careful who I let touch me, even like, honestly, like it's who I let in my auric field. Like, I know that's silly, but it's like, I'm honest, it's that has some an effect as well, even further, like to what you were saying, like, because I agreed fully, like that it's a sacred energy exchange. And I can think about how some of my exes I've had to like deal with like stuff because of that, of like the people I've been with. It's like,
Oh
I'm
yeah.
sure that's why I act a certain way sometimes, funny, because I've had an exchange with this person in the past who was unconscious. I know, I like, yeah, and that's this whatever that is when it comes up in this current relationship with Vanity. It's just, I don't know like specifically, but I assume that's why I'm a jerk sometimes or something. It's like I'm short, or I'm short, whatever it may be, whatever example. I can't come with something specific, but it's, yeah, it's like, or just be conscious of who you let touch you.
I think all of it, it's just like be energy conscious, like just being, yeah, aware of who you
Yeah,
allow in your space, because our time and our energy are priceless. So it's like, yeah, even allowing who is in your auric field, like you said, I think it's really important to be picky.
yeah. Have your standards and you're just keeping, that's it, whatever it is. Yeah, like it doesn't have to be picky. I would prefer to just to use, I understand it's the same thing, but I would just describe it as like, I have a standard, I'm holding to it, like a different kind of, yeah, but it's the
Yeah, I
same
guess
thing.
it's a different connotation. You're right. That's more of like
yeah,
a positive type of awareness, but we're all humans, so sometimes like we
that's true.
react, or we are jerks, or we need our space, or
Jesus
we're
was flipping
spiritual.
tables and stuff. Yeah,
Yeah,
totally. I gotta
yeah, like we're
that's my
spiritual
thing. I have to
beings.
honor that sometimes. Like I don't really often acknowledge that unless I'm in a combat situation or something. It's funny about, I always just try to like smooth things over with people, and like I find that of myself. Like it's like I try to like just make things like cool, like Scorpio style, like wear a mask, like it's all good. But like in combat, I can express myself that way. It's just I have trouble doing that, like conversationally. I'll be honest. Yeah.
Yeah, that's funny. You said Scorpio style. I have a lot of Scorpio in my chart, but yeah, I think it's, I think that's also like an aspect of being human, like being these spiritual beings in human, we're having a human experience. Like we came here to be human and to have this experience in the matrix. So like balancing that all out, and then
Yeah.
we can also fall into smoothing things over, or being a people pleaser just because we don't want to rock the boat. And sometimes that can be more challenging to express ourselves and open up our throat chakra. But those tough conversations are also the moments of immense growth not gross. As long as you can express yourself with respect and
Yeah.
an unconditional sense of love, even if you're not agreeing with that person, you can still have respectful communication. And that was like a big problem in my last relationship. It's like I wasn't allowed to like have my feelings, and I was screamed at and called names, and like some people can handle that, but I think words are spells, and I couldn't handle that. But that was just a little fraction of the iceberg underneath all of the problems. But I couldn't really deal with that. So but I guess my soul had to go through that experience to learn how to not accept that anymore. And then also now like sticking up for myself and what's right, and hopefully being an inspiration for other women to
Even
get out of
yeah.
those situations and just be empowered and move forward.
Yeah. Your inspiration even to me, I was gonna say, like just to see like a human go through that, like that, not even to break, like, yeah, just your spirit in general and stuff. So we love you. We send you, yeah, so much love. You're amazing.
Yeah, I love you guys too. So yeah, wow. Already we're like, I love how this conversation is just going in different directions. But would love to hear about, your what you what you've learned as far as like facilitating a sound healing for somebody. Like, what is that like? Like, how many instruments do you play? Like, tell us all the things.
Sure. It's fun. I've done it a handful of times, honestly. I've done it for a couple friends, for vanity, and a few people when I was on a retreat. Um, I just lay everything out, and like just this conversation, I don't really have a plan. You just kind of like you got to get out of the way, out of your way, and let kind of spirit and kind of let like, so like I'll take certain precautions, like I'll go outside and step on the ground first before it to ground myself. I'll say a prayer, Heavenly Father, Heavenly Spirit, please bless this healing, or please bless this hand that it makes me of a healing frequency for myself and those around me, and I am blessed. Mother Earth, please bless this hand. Please transmute all that no longer serves the healing energy, and we are blessed. I'll honestly do that silently or sometimes aloud. It depends on the situation, but it's a lot of it is the divine mythos. I like to call in the heavenly spirit. I like to make sure like everything's paid respect to, and you say thank you for this healing that's about to occur in the beginning, and at the end I say thank you for the healing that has occurred, just taking it out of my hands and putting it in the hands of like like yours the spirit and everything else, like Jesus, whatever the person honestly believes in, because like it's many different names, it's a different vocabulary, and like all the instruments that are laid out again is just different vocabulary. But I have a template as far as I like to first break up energy, and I like to use my buffalo drum, because I think that's a good, what I was taught was that's a good device to first break up energy and like break up anything that may be latched on, or if there's any stickiness. And then I would go through with the rattle to see how sticky it is, because I have a Peruvian rattle, and I spin it over each chakra. And depending on how it spins, honestly, to me, I feels like if it spins bad, something's not clear. And if I take the rattle and I like clean it up by like spinning the rattle at a certain, so I'm using like the sciences. What it is it's entrainment, and it's like a high pitch. So it's going to get whatever's floating around there to stick to it. And I use my intention, this frequency plus intention equals healing, to stick that energy to the rattle. And I have an invisible fire, or often I have a YouTube up of a fire, and I fling the energy into the fire, transmuting it and sending it back into the universe. That's the major modality of the healing. The sound healing is just an easing of resistance of one's aoric field. So if there was anything going on in your aoric field, I would use a tuning fork, or I would use a rattle to get something to stick to. I would even use the tuning fork as another technique to see if there's anything, like to drag and drop and click your energy back into your chakra and fill the chakra. Now I'm still a novice of this, to my honesty. I'm a novice, but I'm learning, and I this is my technique, and this is my, don't listen to me. Take whatever's useful and go use it in what's resonant. So I feel like I know everything about sound healing, and I know nothing because I don't know what I don't know. So I'm willing to just, if you have something, tell me, and I like anybody, like the universe, tell me, and I'm gonna learn. It's a journey, and I'm gonna eventually master my craft. But as it is right now, this is where I am, and this is what I like to use and I like to do. So I'll do all of that. I'll like to balance the chakras, and then I'll often play a little handpan and maybe do a little meditation at the end, and just kind of just do some calm breathing in myself. I find when I'm breathing calmly and I'm feeling grounded, it helps the person to be grounded, just because of the natural of us being in our auric fields, because ours they sort of intertwined. So the more I'm doing my homework and my spiritual hygiene, which I think is very important, because when you pick up that phone to call somebody, if you don't do your spiritual hygiene, you don't know it's a two-way street, and you're not sure who's calling back sometimes. So it is important, as the sound healer or whatever it is, to maintain and do your spiritual hygiene, so you're sure it's your ancestors, it's the Jesus I believe in, or whatever it is that's on that phone when you're picking it up to help that client. I mean, that's huge. That's a huge part of it. It's just my opinion. So take it as you may. But if you're not, like I said, I think that's just, you can get a little tricky. But so yeah, that's really it. At the end, ends with a little meditation. Usually 45 minutes to an hour, whatever the moment calls for. If for example, I had a few things where I was like having things you can put the hand on the ground, on the shoulders or the ankles. there's all these little like techniques that I'm learning that are they're beautiful, and I love it. And I love like finding out what people do to help each other and be the conduit for each other's healing. So thank you, Lindsay. Thank you.
I think that's awesome. That sounds amazing. I want to get a sound healing from you. Yeah, so I'm wondering, like, what is your favorite instrument?
The flute and the handpan. The flute and the handpan. It's toss up right now, but probably the flute, because I'm just,
Why?
yeah, I love it. It's just so naturally, I don't know. I like, because I can do breath work when I'm playing the flute. I have to like control my diaphragm, and I can like, vibrato when you sing. It's the same
Mhm.
thing. It's just like, it's fun. And circular breathing, because circular breathing's fun too. I'm trying to build that up because I want to play the didgeridoo, because that's next on my list. But right now, the flute is my jam. I love playing. I play it probably every day. Yeah. And I
Yeah,
have
I love
like
the
tons
flute
of them.
too. And then, I mean, just from a tonal perspective, right? The flute is a higher pitch. So then that is also, is that opening up the higher chakras then?
Absolutely. I do have a bass flute, so I do, and I have a middle and a high. I have three flutes. I have the bass, the middle, and tenor, but they still in the higher register, as you mentioned. They're still in the higher, the hertz areas. So absolutely correct. But
Yes,
I
I
still get
love
the notes, like the different C through like, C through F. Sort of get them all at least.
I love the different hertz frequencies. Like I often listen to those like to go to sleep or even when I'm waking up and it's like, I think I read somewhere that the Beatles, all their songs are like in 432 hertz, which is
Mm,
like the heart frequency, right?
mm. And the Bob
So I
Marley did that. So I went to my first healing with that in mind. Like I just purchased the sandpan, this handpan at 440 hertz, and I was like, trees. I was like, what do I do? I got to return this. I got to get 432. He was like, dude, hold on a second, sit down. I want to talk to you. And he like kind of broke it down for me, because as far as that stuff goes, like a frequency, when you hit like a wee, it wavers. It's not a single, unless you get a Rafe machine and a computer and you hit it. That is a single, it looks like a rectangle. A frequency looks like a waveform, and it goes up and down. So this 432 hertz, I have trouble understanding even myself to this day. What does it mean when you say your music? Because I have a acoustic guitar in the other room where it is tuned to 432 hertz, and it's slightly flat from 440, which would be what concert A is in regular music. But I know that Dr. Iamoto water experience. I know all these things, but it is also my understanding that that was done at a certain place on the planet at a certain time with a certain group of people with certain intention, and they got water to freeze a certain way. Has that been replicated? I think it has. Somebody told me. I have to do my due diligence. But so I'm just saying frequency plus intention equals this thing. So as far as like the semantics, if you could help me to understand, even like, does 440 look ugly in the sand? Is that what we're saying? If you put a plate down and you put 440 hertz on it in sand, it would vibrate and it would look ugly. So if you did 432, it would look geometric. Is that what we're saying?
I don't know.
See, that's what I'm saying. We talk about these things as they're absolutes, whereas there's a shaman back in the 1700s. He didn't have a machine to register his frequency. He just hummed at the dude in front of him, and and he matched the tone. He was listening to the person's chakra. I think this is my speculation, my theory, is he could hear or see the energy and the person's thing, and he would, oh, and he would it would match it. When you match it, even in like cellular biology, you can destroy cancer cells by matching the frequency. I know the studies. I've watched it, so I understand that like there's a certain quantum science where if you match the frequency of something, you can use it to destroy something. So this shaman's looking in this dude's body, and he's like, "All right, that don't look good," and he's destroying it in his mind. And he's like cleaning him up. So when this 432 versus 440 argument comes into play, I'm like,
It's almost like, does that
okay.
even matter?
I think it's good and it's great because it's intention. I think people are making these sound bowls that cost like $1,100, and they're like, we gotta have a good reason to charge somebody $1,100. Let's call it 432, and like people will be like, yeah, that's worth a lot of money. Like that's worth money. So I could be. My answer is not absolute. I just say could be. But frequency plus intention equals healing. So it's good. So if it's like its intention is, this is an earth flute. It's 432. It's the frequency of the earth. I'm like, oh, I love that. That makes me feel good. Give me that. I play it next to a tree, and I'm positive, and I think it, and I believe it, because I believe it in my head. It
It all
exists.
starts there.
It really does. You
Like,
think
and
you
I
can't.
love that I love this. Is that a Daniel Cannuli original, frequency plus intention equals healing? Or did you learn
That's
that
my
from Three
Sifu
Trees?
mentor, Three Trees. He gave that to me. I'm
Oh my
paying that
God,
forward.
that
Yeah.
is so powerful. Yes, because that's what it's all about. It's like, and the longer that I'm also on the spiritual shamanic path, it's like everything is intent. Because I used to be like, oh, wait, but I don't have my rose quartz crystal, and I don't have my labradorite, or I don't have my
Mm.
sage with me, or I don't have my Palo Santo. I can't do that. And then the longer I'm on this path, it's like, no, all you need
No,
is
no,
is
no. You're right.
really in
Yeah.
intent. That's
Yeah.
where it starts. Like, I'm actually leading, a Reiki 1 certification class next month, and I did like an intro to Reiki
Hell yeah.
yes, I did an intro to Reiki class, and I'm explaining it, and I'm like, you know what? Like, and I'm pointing because I have my degrees on the wall over here, and I have my other one over there, and it's like, okay, so there is this certification that we
It
go
gives you
through.
permission. It gives you permission to do it, man. That's what it is. Like, I have
Yeah,
them too. I'm like, what do I do with this? And like,
but it's
it's your
all really
permission.
just intention. It's all
Yeah.
intention. But for the meat sack that we are, we need these tangible things to make it all make sense. It's almost like,
Yeah.
right? It's almost like
So
using
funny.
cards to take a look at what's going on in your energy field. And it's like, well, I can look at what's in your energy field, but the cards make you believe it more because it's something you can touch and feel and
You
see.
read the
And
thing, right? It's like, go to chapter page 32, and you're like, wow, that says that's right. It works every.
yeah,
I watch people get cards written by vanity, and I watch them their faces, and I'm like, oh, this is so funny. It's like so cool. It's so cool to see like
it is
profound
cool.
moments happen.
But just like you said before, like even just about like God or Jesus or spirit, there's so many different names. It's like many rivers,
Sure.
one ocean. It's like that's the same way with the spiritual path. It's like, okay, well, maybe, spirit's going to communicate to you through music, or spirit's going to communicate to me through a card reading, or I feel like God, source, spirit, great spirit, whatever you want to call it, like presents itself to you in a way in which you can understand it. That
Mm.
makes sense
It's
to
trying
your
to at
inner
least,
being.
or I say it's trying to at least, and it's up to the individual to our free will to hear it, or like to like answer. You know what I'm saying?
Yes, to use because we're sovereign. We're sovereign. We can pick, we can choose. And absolutely, I think you're right. I think it's, isn't that just so beautiful though, like about spirituality and like just the path
Yeah.
of being like, because it's also like sometimes it's hard to like have a human experience, but like it's part of the deal here.
It makes you think like you're more. To me, I see it as we're more one. And then like I even like to equate the electric universe theory to this, which explains everything. It's like the way that's why distance Reiki works is because there's like these Birkeland currents of energy that exist, this web between all of us. So there's a universe of connectivity instead of separation of darkness, as they're told about in gravity theories. As far as I'm very amateur. I'm just repeating things that I read, but to my understanding of things is this. I vibe this idea of like connectivity and light instead of this darkness and separation. I just think that's pretty, and I like sharing that, like the electric universe theory, and we're all connected, and like there's no right way in spirituality, and like I'll bring that, like here's science to go with the spirituality to make it like make sense to you. Or is this your gateway? Will this get you into this understanding of universal oneness if you look at it like through molecules and like electric and current? Like that's my angle on certain people.
I think that I talked about this. I feel like every podcast that comes up, that science and spirituality are one. Like they interweave with each other. Like one supports the other. It's like that. It's like the yin yang. And I kept looking at your yin yang tattoo on
Oh
your.
yeah,
Yeah, I have like the moon and the sun, and I
I
have
got
them
all.
purposely on opposite wrists because it's all about like the balance, divine feminine,
I
divine
have
masculine.
the dark and the light, it's the light, the light and the dark, dark and the light, and then life. I haven't broke it down. Yeah,
Oh, I
I
love
like it.
that. That's so cool. I love that so much. But it's almost like I love that what you're talking about, and I don't really know what that theory is. If you can can you nutshell what it means?
Yeah, so like space, even like the planets and like, so again, this is going with like the heliocentric, or not, whatever, the globe model and such, but like even the planets and stuff, like the idea of like gravity, there's like equations that the people try to figure out, like how's that planet over there and how's that like star over there, and like to explain it to my understanding, because I do not, there's no math that makes sense. But if you flip the model and you look and use look at it through this viewpoint of an electric universe, where there's like a sun, and like there's there's solar, it's like the magnetospheres, and the idea of there's an ionosphere, and like they're connected, and there's like a connection between, like, it's hard to explain. I have to brush up on it honestly myself, but it really is the idea of like, it's this web of connectivity, fractal, from a bigger, greater sun or star, and it's an electric universe, and that's why distance Reiki works, because you're connected. You can go out there and like, it's just one angle to look at it, because I know there's different reasons why people think distance Reiki works, or unless I'm maybe thinking of like shamanic work, because I've seen somebody like do distance shamanic work where they went out and they reached somebody and they brought them back to the table and there in front of them, and they did work on them, and I was like not sure how like that. I think I was trying to elaborate in my mind how that was working, but anyway, the electric universe theory is just, it's cool. It's the idea that instead of gravity, like it's all magnetism, and then that even works with like your heart and like the law of one and like everything like
Like the
that. So
electromagnetic field from your heart.
totally,
I
and
feel
like the
like,
planets, yeah.
because everything is frequency and everything is energy. And that's how, to me, that's how
Even
distance Reiki works. It's just like time and
yeah,
space are an illusion, really. And then
that's
it's like,
mm,
right? Yes,
I
that's
nailed it.
it.
Thank
That
you.
is it. And also, it's like linear time is an illusion. It's all an illusion.
The
But
calendar, and it's all sort of like a
yes,
construct
yes,
of you. If you want to get into that side of things, that's the more esoteric, and like the idea of the matrix, and like that's some things that yeah, it's a little more like whatever you call it, yeah, like I have a lot of that in my life that vanity's exposed to, just because I'm a nutball in that sense, that I like to delve into the Gnosticism and stuff of that nature, I guess you would call it.
yeah. But I
Yeah,
also liked how you said, the dark night of the soul, and like that things aren't even dark. It's like aspects of light. And it just kind of
oh
makes me
yeah.
think as well, like, about this, we're on Valentine's Day, this portal love day. And it's also
Mm,
like, I mentioned my toxic relationship, but then if I flip it and view it from like the perspective of love, it's like I can see a lot of light in it. And also that it taught me how to love myself, like, and
most important, yeah.
that also like that person isn't all dark. Like, we're not all dark, we're not all light, we're both, and we're sovereign. And then we have the choice of which aspects we want to really embody over other aspects. So it's like, trying to
Powerful.
see, yeah, trying to see the light in within the darkness, in the darkest of times. It's like a tool for me. It's like, if I'm not feeling like high vibe or something, like, is of course meditation, and then breath work, and then also, moving my body, or like taking a cold shower to like just change my perspective and thought process. But really a big thing for me is also gratitude, because like you can really, there, I always can find some aspect of gratitude in like even the shittiest of things.
Mhm. That's like huge, yeah. It's the
Yeah.
biggest.
Yes. But yeah, I've been loving this conversation so much. I know I told Vanity that a couple weeks ago I did this like mind zero experience where I was in this sauna. It was like 200 degrees, and then you went into the ice bath for 2 minutes. And I
Mm.
did it 2 rounds, and literally like both rounds I went all the way under, like I got my shoulders all the way in, and like in the ice bath, because I
Wow.
hate the cold. Like, I know, I feel like
Oh,
you love the cold. I do not like the cold, and I was scared. But when I got in, the only thing that I could focus on was my breath, and the breath got me through it. And by the second round, I was literally eyes closed, like meditating in the freezing cold water. Like, I couldn't even believe that. that I did that. And you guys have been doing that. You've been doing that for a while now, right?
Since like August, I've been doing 2 days a week, at least ice bath indoors. If it's snow outside, I'll go sit in the snow. But yeah, I went hard. But I like worked up to that. Like, if you want the whole story, I broke my hand last December, and I was like, this is not good. Like, what happened was I fell, I got mad at the dog, and I was afraid of vanity moving in. I'm gonna be honest, I was afraid. I was scared of losing my space and my time. And I was just like, it was the perfect shitstorm. I fell down, I hit my hand, and like it was hurting. I was mad at Pantera because she wouldn't pee, and I punched the floor. And I was like, I can't be this uncontrolled of my emotions. I don't want to be with somebody like that. I don't want Vanna to be something like that. I don't want Pantera's dumb dad to be anything like that. And I want to heal my hand now because I can't play the flute. So I went hard into the Wim Hof. And I went breath work. That's the first thing I did. I started doing cold showers. I worked up over time, and I've made it to this point where now I don't even feel cold. Like, winter is my summer. Like, I love the cold. I look forward to it. It's like you said, like that meditative thing when you're sitting in there. It's so amazing. So when you were saying you were doing that, I was so excited. I'm like, more people are coming in the dark. Yeah, the cold side. I'm just so excited about it. But I'm happy that you had that experience. It's
Yeah,
awesome.
I love it. I signed up. I'm going again next Sunday, and
Yes, keep
the
doing it.
owner,
Yeah.
the owner of the company, he is so amazing. I'm gonna have him on the podcast just because he like restarted his life in his 40s, and it's just really inspiring. And it's called the Mind Zero experience, and I just love that. It's literally, it gets you to your 0 point. Like, all you
Like,
can think
quick.
about, all you can think, because when I first sat down in the water, because if I'm going to do something, I'm going all in. So I was like, it's
Yeah, girl.
freezing, I can't breathe, and I went all the way under, right? And other people were like, I was like, no, fuck that. I went under, and I couldn't breathe at first. And the mind, it starts like, you can't breathe, you can't do this. It's almost like being in a sweat lodge, like a shamanic sweat
It
lodge.
totally has that same.
The first time I ever went to do a sweat lodge, I was so terrified. Guess who was the last one in the hut? Me.
You were.
The shaman left me in there. He said, you're good, just pray in there. I didn't want to come out. I loved it. And same
You're
thing with the
journeying.
ice
Yeah.
bath. I was so afraid. And then it just like, I couldn't breathe. Literally, it took my breath away. And then I was like, I got this. And like I said, all I could think about was breathing. And then it's like, it's so your mind gets to the 0 point. Like, you
There's a
literally
switch.
hear.
I was telling you, there's a switch. That's what I have to flip the switch to do it. And
Yeah.
that's it. I think that's what you're saying.
And so, like, I mean, I'm still like, I'm a novice at the cold therapy. Like, I remember they explained all the benefits, but I don't remember all of them off the top of my head. But it's definitely like, if I'm feeling like shit, like I told Vanity one day, I was feeling like shit. I took a cold shower. She's like, how long were you in there? I said, I don't know, like a minute. And she was like, oh my God, you did that for a minute? She's like, that's a long
She'd
time.
start for a minute.
You should start small. And I was like, well, I'm like a hardcore kind of a person. Like, if I'm gonna do something, I'm gonna do it until like I don't, then I really don't. You know what I mean? But
Totally.
I loved it. And I love, honestly, I love your vulnerability today. And I love that you shared that, you were afraid and then you injured your hand, which I'm sure there's so much symbolism, but behind. Which hand was it?
My right hand. It was my right hand.
Which is the masculine side of the body. Which is very interesting that because you were angry and expressing that, and you were afraid, and then how it led to, look at all this beautiful healing that you've done now, and you're going to share the breath work too, right? Because you've learned
I've helped other people. I have a group on Telegram where there's an individual he's come to me privately. A couple like, yeah, I see the benefits, and I know, like, from reading like Wim's materials, like the simple act of breathing together is just hearing, like, there's so much benefits. It's just like, I don't know, where do you begin? Like, it's
I know, right? It's like, we're coming up on the time. I'm actually leading an introduction to pranayama. In yoga, it's pranayama, moving the life force energy with the breath. So I'm going to be doing that at my studio on Saturday. And it's just it's so exciting. And I've also been deep diving into like holotropic breath work. And that is like, woo, your brain, it's like it's almost like you're
You
on
get high on your own
LSD.
supply. You
You
really
literally
do.
get high on your own supply. It is the best, literally. And it's like years of therapy in one session. And I'm a really big believer
Truly.
in that breath work. And is that like, so what is like the Wim Hof breath work?
That's holotropic breath work.
It
The
is
traditional Wim
holotropic
Hof.
then.
It is. You do
See,
30
yes, I love
fully
it.
in and just let go to atmosphere, and then you hold. You hold. And I'm up to like, I got up to 4 minutes on like 6 rounds. But like at this point, I can do like a minute, 2 minutes, 3 minutes, like nothing. But yeah. And now I'm doing Tummo, Tibetan inner fire breathing. That's the next one, which is similar to it. And it's this idea of like picturing a little ball of fire, and you like grow it bigger, 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 bigger in your stomach. I sit outside and when it's snowing, and I was just like, yeah, I like to do that. I just, what one man can do, or what one human can do, because I don't like to make it just man or female. I like to say human when I repeat this quote. It's from The Edge. It's Anthony Hopkins, where they're trying to kill this bear. It's like, well, one man can do, another can do. Now kill that fucking bear. And they go out and they do this huge feat just because they believe that other man did it. And I'm like, well, Wim Hof can do it, and
And
like
there
he
it
does the
is.
science. We can do it. He teaches people to do it. So it's just that mental. It's just that belief. It's just that switch. If you can do that, if you can train your brain and realize like your brain is what's stopping you from accomplishing it. The pain from the cold shower doesn't exist. It goes away because it doesn't make sense, because you get numb to it anyway. So any pain that you're feeling is what it's your fear in your head that you're
Mhm.
holding on to. And if you just realize, if you just breathe, you can activate your brown fat in your body and heat yourself up and keep yourself warm. It's just all like, I give you this just like science to it. Like what I mean, like, yeah,
It
it's
is science,
spirituality.
right?
It's
Like
a science.
when
Yeah.
you're cold, the blood is rushing inside, right?
Yeah.
And then when
They
you,
constrict. Yep.
yes, so then when you warm up, oh, that's the best feeling. After you come out of the ice
Oh, you
bath, you
feel
can
so,
feel
I
your
have energy.
blood
I
moving
love
out
it.
to your extremities, and you're just like, whoa, I'm
Lindsay, I
literally a
do the
new
horse stance. When
being.
I like to go right out from the cold, right into the horse stance, and I go, tsa, tsa, tsa. I just warm myself up. So I don't need to like, I just warm myself up. And that's my body. That's immune hygiene. That's my immune system. That's my body firing and like using my body to warm myself and like burning calories. And just all it's the energy, it's the chi, it's the prana, it's
Yes.
all of it's that. It's this focus, it's using it. Like Goku is real. Like I'm like charging up when I'm doing that. Like, yeah,
Yeah, it's so good. I'm so glad that
it's
you're
so
doing
good.
all these wonderful
I love that
things.
you're doing the prana. We can come to, I love it. I want to hear about your
Yes.
experience. I'm
I
sure I'll
love
hear
that
it too.
we're all on this path together, and it's just amazing to share the experiences and the different modalities. So, um, how, if people are interested in getting a sound healing or, doing your breath work, what's the best way for them to connect with you?
At DC Plays Guitar on Instagram, or at DC Plays the Flute. That's just the easiest way, and you will go from there. Just contact me, and yeah, I do custom meditation tracks. I do whatever, I don't know, whatever's in the moment. But yeah, more have been trying to facilitate breath work and do these sound healings in a space. And thank you for holding the space this evening for me and for my love, Vanity, to this day and forward always. So just thank you, Lindsay. You look lovely today. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you so much for being here, too. I hope everybody enjoyed the conversation. I definitely really enjoyed it, and I'm excited to see, how your path continues to unfold before you, and, Vanity, of course, as well. And, much love from me to you, from South Carolina to New Jersey, to my home. And yeah, connect with Daniel on Instagram. And yeah, hope you enjoyed today, and tune in next week for Tattva Tuesday. Thank you.